The flash from my cousin's phone lit up the entire Thanksgiving table, like a police raid. My heart slammed against my ribs as his voice sliced through the laughter. What the hell, Emilia? You're really holding hands with this woman right here in front of Grandma. Zara's fingers tightened around mine, warm and steady, but the room had already turned into a storm of whispers and stares. I could feel every eye burning into us, my aunts clutching their pearls, my uncles muttering about disgrace, and my father looking like someone had punched him in the gut. This was the moment I had rehearsed in nightmares for years. The one where my carefully built life cracked wide open in front of the entire family. I wanted to drop Zara's hand. Every survival instinct screamed to laugh it off, to say it was a joke or a misunderstanding. My career at the firm, my reputation as the reliable associate who never brought drama, everything hung on the next breath I took. But Zara had driven 3 hours to be here because I asked her to. She had worn the simple black dress I loved, smiled through my mother's awkward questions about her roommate, and now she was standing beside me while the people who raised me treated her like a disease. Letting go would mean choosing myself over her, and something inside me refused to do it. Then my mother rose from her chair at the head of the table. The scraping of wood against tile was the only sound for 3 long seconds. Her face was pale, but her voice came out clear and strong, the same tone she used when she told off the principal in 6th grade for suspending me over a fight I didn't start. Enough, she said, looking straight at my cousin. This girl has 2 mothers and I am proud. The words landed like a thunderclap. My aunt gasped so loudly she nearly choked. My father froze with his fork halfway to his mouth. Zara's hand stopped trembling. I stared at my mother, the woman who had once made me swear on my grandmother's Bible that I would marry a good man and give her grandchildren the traditional way. The same woman who had cried for weeks when I first tried to tell her the truth at 18. Now she was standing there, shoulders squared, daring anyone to argue. The silence stretched until my cousin laughed nervously. Aunt Linda, come on, you're joking, right? But my mother didn't blink. I have never been more serious in my life. Emilia loves who she loves, and if you can't respect that in my house, you can leave. Chairs scraped. Someone muttered, unbelievable. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably my boss checking on the brief I was supposed to finish tomorrow. But right then, none of it mattered. My mother had just chosen me in front of everyone who had spent years trying to mold me into someone I wasn't. The relief felt like air after drowning. I squeezed Zara's hand harder, and for the first time in years I didn't feel like I was hiding. We left early. The drive back to Chicago was quiet at first, the highway lights blurring past the windows. Zara kept glancing over from the passenger seat, her dark hair falling across one eye. Your mom. I don't even know what to say. I laughed shakily. Neither do I. She made me swear I'd marry a man when I was 18. Threatened to cut me off if I didn't fix myself. Now she's calling you my second mother. Zara smiled softly, but worry creased her forehead. That photo your cousin took. He posted it already. I saw the notification before we left. My stomach dropped. I hadn't even thought about that. One stupid picture could travel faster than we could drive. By the time we reached my apartment, the post had 300 likes and comments that made my skin crawl. Disgusting. Praying for you, Emilia. What a betrayal to your family. I turned off my phone and pulled Zara into my arms. Her heartbeat was steady against mine. Whatever comes next, we face it together, I whispered. She nodded, but I could feel the tension in her shoulders. We both knew the firm had a strict morality clause. My boss, Mr. Hargrove, had fired a senior partner last year for an affair that leaked. If this reached the partners, my 6-year climb to junior partner could vanish overnight. That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling while Zara slept beside me. The declaration from my mother felt like a shield, but shields didn't stop lawsuits or tabloid headlines. I had built my entire identity around being the perfect professional. Top of my class at Northwestern, no drama, no slip-ups. Loving Zara was the one thing I couldn't control, and now the world was about to find out. I didn't know it yet, but the real storm wasn't the family dinner. It was the phone call that came at 6:17 a.m. the next morning. The phone vibrated across the nightstand like an alarm for the end of the world. I grabbed it before Zara stirred. Mr. Hargrove's name flashed on the screen. Emilia, my office. 8 sharp. Bring your partner if she's the one in the photo. Click. No hello, no explanation. Just that cold command. My hands shook as I set the phone down. Zara sat up, hair messy, eyes wide. The firm. I nodded. They saw it. Within minutes my inbox exploded. HR requests, partner meeting invites, even a message from the client we were defending in a high-profile discrimination case. The irony burned. We were suing a company for firing someone over their orientation. And now my own firm might do the same to me. I dressed in the charcoal suit that always made me feel invincible. Zara wore her navy blouse, the one she saved for court appearances. We drove in silence, the city waking up around us in shades of gray. At the firm, every head turned in the lobby. Whispers followed us to the elevator. When the doors closed, Zara whispered, "We can say it's not what it looks like. Blame it on the angle." I wanted to agree. My career was everything. Student loans paid off last year, a corner office almost in reach, the respect I had clawed for since my mother first told me women like me didn't belong in boardrooms. But looking at Zara's face, the fear mixed with hope, I couldn't do it. "No more hiding," I said. The words tasted like freedom and terror at the same time. Mr. Hargrove didn't waste time. The photo was already printed on his desk, blown up so every detail of our joined hands was crystal clear. "This is a distraction," he said flatly. "The client called this morning. They're worried our lead associate is living the case instead of winning it. Ethics review starts today. If we find any conflict, you're out." Zara stepped forward before I could speak. "My name is Zara Patel. I'm an associate in litigation, not on Emilia's team. There is no conflict." Hargrove's smile was thin. "Perception is reality in this business. The partners want a statement from you both by noon denying any romantic involvement that could compromise client trust." The room tilted. Deny it and keep my job. Stand by it and watch 6 years disappear. I looked at Zara. She had given up a promotion at her old firm to move to Chicago with me. She had held me through panic attacks before every big trial. Choosing the firm meant choosing safety, but it also meant telling her our love was something to be ashamed of. "We'll need time to discuss," I said. Hargrove checked his watch. "You have until noon. After that, I file the paperwork." Outside in the hallway, Zara turned to me, eyes shining. "I won't ask you to throw away your career. Say whatever you need to." Her voice cracked on the last word. That was the first time I truly understood the choice wasn't just job or love. It was who I was willing to become. We spent the morning in a coffee shop around the corner. Laptops open, drafting and deleting statements. Every version that protected me hurt Zara more. By 11:30, my phone rang again, my mother. The local news picked up the photo. "They're calling it a Thanksgiving family feud with a twist. Your aunt is giving interviews." My stomach lurched. The story was no longer private. It had legs, and those legs were sprinting toward every partner at the firm. Zara reached across the table and took my hand right there in public. "Whatever you decide, I love you." The clock ticked toward noon. I closed my laptop. "I'm not denying us." Her eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. The same smile from our first date 3 years ago when she spilled coffee on my notes and laughed until we both cried. We walked back to the firm together, hands linked openly for the second time in 24 hours. Hargrove's face when we handed him the statement was unreadable. "This will cost you both." He wasn't wrong. By 3 o'clock, the partners had voted to place me on administrative leave pending the ethics review. Zara received a similar notice. The client requested a new team. My inbox filled with interview requests from local stations, and one national outlet that smelled blood in the water. That night we sat on my couch eating cold takeout, the TV muted on a loop of the family dinner photo. My mother texted, "I'm coming to Chicago tomorrow. We need to talk." For the first time, I didn't dread her visit. But the relief was short-lived. At midnight, an email arrived from opposing counsel in our discrimination case. They were filing a motion to disqualify me personally, citing personal bias and potential fraud on the court. The lawsuit had begun. The motion to disqualify landed like a bomb on my desk the next morning, even though I wasn't technically allowed in the building. My mother arrived at the apartment carrying a suitcase and the same determined expression she had worn at Thanksgiving. She hugged Zara first, no hesitation, no awkward pat on the back. "You stood by my daughter when I didn't. That makes you family." Zara blinked back tears. I watched them in the kitchen, my mother showing Zara how to make the coffee strong the way I liked it. And something inside me shifted. The woman who once cried over my choices was now defending them in my home. But the world outside wasn't shifting so kindly. By afternoon, the story had hit Chicago Tribune online with the headline, "Lesbian Lawyer's Family Feud Threatens $1 Million Case." Comments poured in, some supportive, most vicious. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Old law school friends texted condolences mixed with questions. My father called once, voice tight. "Your mother is making this worse. Think about your future, Emilia." I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. Zara and I spent the afternoon drafting affidavits for the ethics board, detailing every case we had worked on separately to prove no conflict. Every sentence felt like building a wall against a tidal wave. That evening my mother insisted we go out to dinner, someplace public. "Hiding makes them think they're right," she said. We chose a quiet Italian place near the lake. Halfway through the pasta, a reporter appeared at the next table, phone recording. "Ms. Reyes, care to comment on the disqualification motion?" My mother stood before I could speak. "My daughter is an excellent lawyer. Her personal life has nothing to do with her ability to do her job. And if this firm fires her for loving a woman, we'll see them in court next." The reporter's eyes widened. By the time dessert arrived, the video was already trending. My mother had just gone national. Back at the apartment, the three of us sat around the kitchen table with glasses of wine. My mother told stories I had never heard. How her own sister had been disowned in the 80s for dating a woman. How she had promised herself she would never do that to her child. "I was scared for you," she admitted. "Scared the world would chew you up. But watching you hold Zara's hand in front of everyone who tried to shame you, I realized I was the one who was wrong." Zara reached over and squeezed her hand. For a moment, the lawsuit and the media felt distant. Then my phone lit up with an email from the State Bar Association. Formal complaint filed by an anonymous partner at the firm alleging conduct unbecoming. The noose was tightening. The next 3 days blurred into strategy sessions and sleepless nights. Zara's parents called from California, offering to fly out. My mother fielded interview requests, turning down most but accepting one local morning show. I watched her on TV from the couch, Zara's head on my shoulder. "Love isn't a conflict of interest," my mother said on screen. "It's the reason we fight for justice in the first place." The clip went viral. Support poured in from LGBTQ+ legal organizations. But the firm doubled down, leaking documents suggesting Zara and I had discussed case strategy in private. The lie was clever, they knew we had never done that, but perception was everything. By the end of the week, the disqualification motion was granted. The client dropped us. My leave became indefinite. Zara received a formal warning. We sat on the balcony overlooking the city lights, the wind cold against our faces. "I can go back to California," Zara offered quietly. "Find something there. You can rebuild here." The words cut deeper than any tabloid comment. She was offering me an out, the same way I had almost taken one at the firm. I pulled her close. "We rebuild together or not at all." That night we made a plan. Fight the ethics complaint publicly, sue the firm for discrimination if necessary, and lean on the one person who had surprised us both, my mother. The ethics hearing was set for the following Tuesday in a windowless room downtown. My mother insisted on attending as moral support. Zara wore the same navy blouse from the day we walked into Hargrove's office. I carried a binder thick with character statements. Colleagues who risked their own standing to speak for me, professors from law school, even the barista at our favorite coffee shop who wrote about how we always tipped well and never argued. But the opposing side brought something heavier. Screenshots of private texts they claimed were mine and Zara's, taken out of context to suggest we had colluded on a case. The texts were real. The context was fake. We had been planning our anniversary dinner, not strategy. The hearing officer, a stern woman in her 60s, listened without expression. When it was my turn to speak, my voice shook only once. "I have never compromised a client. My relationship with Zara is personal. If loving her makes me unfit, then the entire profession needs to look in the mirror." Zara spoke next, calm and precise, laying out timelines that proved we had never overlapped on cases. My mother sat in the back row, hands folded, eyes never leaving me. When the hearing ended, The officer said she would issue a decision within 30 days. 30 days that could end my license to practice law. The media frenzy outside the building was worse than I expected. Cameras pushed forward, microphones thrust like weapons. Ms. Reyes, will you sue the firm? Is your mother really supporting this lifestyle? My mother stepped in front of me, shielding me with her body. My daughter is not a lifestyle. She is a brilliant attorney and a good person. And yes, I support her completely. The clip played on every evening newscast. By midnight, GoFundMe campaigns had started for our legal defense. Strangers sent messages. Your mother's speech gave me courage to come out to my own family. But courage had a price. The next morning, my father showed up unannounced at the apartment. He looked older than I remembered. This has gone too far, Emilia. Your mother is destroying her reputation along with yours. We argued in the living room while Zara stayed in the bedroom to give us space. He accused me of selfishness, of dragging the family name through the mud. I reminded him how he had once told me to be discreet when I was 20. The fight ended with him slamming the door. My mother watched from the kitchen, tears in her eyes but no regret. He'll come around, she said. I wasn't so sure. Zara and I spent the waiting period working on our countersuit against the firm for wrongful discipline. Late nights turned into early mornings, fueled by coffee and the growing sense that we were no longer just fighting for jobs. We were fighting for every attorney who would come after us. My mother helped research precedents, surprising us both with her knowledge. I may be old-fashioned, she said one night, but I've had 30 years to regret the way I treated you. Let me do something right now. Watching her and Zara debate case law at the kitchen table felt like the family I had always wanted but never dared to imagine. The Bar Association decision arrived by email on day 29. Cleared of all charges. The relief was so sharp I dropped my phone. Zara laughed and cried at the same time. My mother opened a bottle of champagne she had hidden in her suitcase. But the victory was bittersweet. The firm had already replaced me on every case. Zara's warning remained on her record. We were both technically unemployed in the eyes of the industry. That night, as we celebrated quietly, my mother raised her glass. To second chances, and to two mothers who are damn proud of their daughter. The countersuit moved forward faster than anyone expected. A sympathetic judge granted us expedited discovery. Suddenly we had access to internal firm emails that proved Hargrove had ordered the ethics complaint to protect the firm's family-friendly image before a major merger. The evidence was damning. Zara and I spent weeks deposing witnesses, my mother acting as unofficial paralegal, organizing documents late into the night. The media attention shifted from scandal to potential landmark case. Articles appeared with titles like "Daughter and Mother Take on Corporate Homophobia." My father even called once to say he had read one and was thinking things over. But the pressure never let up. Death threats arrived in my inbox, anonymous, vicious. Zara's car was keyed in the parking garage. We installed cameras and tried to laugh it off, but fear lived in the apartment with us now. One particularly bad night, Zara broke down in the bathroom. What if we lose everything? What if this was a mistake? I held her while she cried, remembering the Thanksgiving dinner when I almost let go of her hand. The mistake would have been choosing fear, I whispered. My mother heard us through the wall and appeared with tea and the quiet strength that had started this entire journey. You two have already won, she said. The rest is just paperwork. The firm offered a settlement 2 days before the hearing. 6 figures and sealed records in exchange for dropping everything. We turned it down. The courtroom on hearing day was packed. Reporters, supporters, even a few former colleagues who risked their jobs to sit in the gallery. My mother sat in the front row beside Zara's parents, who had flown in the night before. When the judge read the ruling, wrongful discipline, retaliation, discrimination, the courtroom erupted. Back pay, reinstatement offers, and a public apology from the firm. We had one. Outside on the courthouse steps, cameras flashed again, but this time the questions were different. How does it feel to make history? Will you stay at the firm? I looked at Zara, then at my mother standing tall beside us. It feels like coming home, I said. Zara squeezed my hand. My mother wiped her eyes and smiled at the reporters. My daughter has 2 mothers who will always stand with her. The words echoed across the steps and into the evening news. That night we celebrated at the same Italian restaurant where the reporter had first approached us. No one bothered us this time. My mother raised her glass again. To the family we chose and the one that chose us back. Zara leaned over and kissed my cheek right there in public. For the first time in months, the future felt wide open instead of terrifying. The months after the settlement passed in a blur of new beginnings. The firm offered us both full reinstatement with promotions, but we declined. Instead, we opened our own small practice focused on LGBTQ+ employment cases, the kind of work that had almost destroyed us but ultimately saved us. My mother stayed in Chicago for another month, helping us find office space and painting the walls herself. She and Zara developed a routine. Saturday morning coffee runs and long talks about everything from Supreme Court rulings to recipes. Watching them together healed something in me I hadn't realized was still broken. My father eventually showed up at the new office with flowers and an apology that sounded rehearsed but sincere. "I was wrong," he said simply. "Your mother showed me what real pride looks like." We had dinner as a family that night. 4 of us around a small table, laughing like the Thanksgiving that started it all had been a different lifetime. The media moved on to newer scandals, but the GoFundMe money we received funded scholarships for young lawyers like us. Supporters still wrote letters thanking my mother for her words. She kept every single one in a shoebox. Zara and I bought a small house in the suburbs with a backyard big enough for the dog we adopted on a whim. Some evenings we sat on the porch swing holding hands, watching the sunset paint the sky the same colors as that first Thanksgiving photo. The one that nearly ended us had become the beginning of everything better. My mother visited often, bringing stories and the quiet acceptance that had changed 3 lives forever. Looking back now, every crisis, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt had led to this. A love no longer hidden, a career built on truth, and a family redefined by courage. The price had been high, but the reward was a life that finally felt like mine. Was standing up for love always worth the cost, even when it risked everything? True or false?